All right, so let's continue here and finish up with the edit, then we can deal with the delete. Once we're done with that, we can move everything we've done so far simply to the categories section, and then we'll be done for the admin stuff. Almost done. Okay, so if I click on edit here, edit, it brings me to this location where I can edit what I want here. And if I want to, I can replace the image here and select a particular category. Okay, and also type some content over here. Okay, so if I click post now, nothing is going to happen. If I do that, you see that the page just refreshes. So let's see what's actually happening in the code. So go to your controllers and admin controller, and right here we are in the posts function, and down here where we have the select, and we are down at the edit section here. So let's deal with the text first before we can deal with the image. So I'm going to come back here to the add section and just copy this code here because we'll be using exactly this. So everything here must come along up to here. Yes, except for the return view. So let me copy that and let me just paste it right about here. Wait a minute. Okay, let me paste, then we can see what we can get rid of. Okay, so this will run normally whether we post something or not, but then when we post something we come here. So this is a repeat, so we don't need this line here, so let's delete that. Great. So the validation works the same way. Title, file, required, image, same thing here. Now the file is not required per se, so at this point it isn't. So we're just going to say remove the required just to leave the image there. Okay, so if it's there, or maybe it's not, it should be able to pass still. So before we even try to process the image here, we must first determine if the image is indeed there or not. So what I will do for now is mute the image section here, and I don't actually want to I don't want to save or replace the image here, so we can deal with the title. That's okay. The category category ID, we must get it from the category itself. So what I will do for now is and let's remove the insert here. What we will have to do is say update instead, like so. Okay, so for now what I want to do is just deal with everything else except the image. So image, we're going to mute that here, and we're not going to deal with the created and updated. Let's just remove created. Maybe updated we can leave that be, and update it since we are updating it now. So that will remain. The title will be in the title. Let me come back to category here and check what's really going on. So if I go to my resources and views admin, so let me go back to edit post blade. Let's see what's happening with the category. So we're going to, so we have category ID and row category ID. Okay, so that seems reasonable enough. So we can use that. So here I'm going to copy exactly what's here, put it here, and just change that to category ID. Copy this category ID, paste it there, like so. Okay, so we have that, and then content, update it. That's great. And then post update. Now, in order for us to be able to update, we need an actual ID of the content that we are trying to deal with here. So if I come back here, if we look at the URL, it does have the ID that we're looking for, and this is how we are able to read the file and load it here. So we can use that ID here. So we must add the ID here because it knows that that's a primary key. So it's going to get from the ID. So I'll say ID to know where to save this. So I'll copy that ID from find and put it here. So we'll not use an input, we just paste it there instead. Okay, so we have our ID, we have our title, category, content, updated, and so once we say update, it should work just fine. So let's get back here and let's try. So this time I'm going to put a 2 at the very end there. Let's see what the requirements are. String, okay, so that's okay. So let me try and save. Okay, so it doesn't seem to have worked. Let me put a 2 again and save again. Okay, so things didn't work out here. So there's probably an error somewhere. So one issue with Laravel is that before you can update something, you need to retrieve the information first before you can easily just update it. So here what we must do is we must find this particular post, and then after that we must save it. But we can do that in a single line, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll just do something like where, if this fails, we're just going to go to the documentation and check. Maybe I may have forgotten something here. So I'm just going to put ID as the column here, and then I'll put a comma and put the ID itself. So I remove this from there, so it's not part of the files that I need, the array that I need to save. So here what I'm doing is I'm retrieving this information. I'm just saying where the ID is equal to ID, and then do the update on this data here. So retrieving and updating in one. So you can do this separately. You can do post find, and then you find with ID, and then the result of that you can do the update with this data. But this should work as well. So let's give it another shot here. I'm going to put a 2 again, and let's give it a try. Try again. Okay, so finally it actually worked this time. So let me add a 2 on the content as well and save. So it didn't save there either. Save again. Okay, so finally it has worked. So I think the reason why it doesn't seem to be working the first time is because I'm doing the update second. So here I'm reading the data and then getting the row that I want, but then I update it later. So by the time we are reading from it, we're getting the old information. So what I must do is move this content here from the top, except for the post, new post. That's okay. I can just bring this down where I'm reading the row. I can leave the category here, but that's okay. I can move both so they're in the same location here. Okay, great. So let's see if we can now see an actual update in real time. So I'll remove the 2 there and remove that 2 as well and hit save. Okay, so this time we see that the changes happen immediately. We don't have to do it twice. So now let's deal with the featured image here, because it seems everything else is working fine except the featured image. So for the image, what I want to do here is, instead of just doing this, I want to ask the question whether the file is there or not. So the way I can tell whether the file is there or not is just to see what this produces. So there's request file like that. So let me put this right about here. So I'll paste this. I want to use var dump like this. So I'm doing this just to show you how you can figure these things out on your own. And then I'll put die over there like so. Okay, so var dump, the reason I like this instead of print readable is because if this is, let's say, false or no, it's still going to tell you that this is a no, because var dump also tells you the data type as it is printing out that data. So here to tell me the type of data that I have. So first of all, I just want to refresh the page, or just to post as it is right now. Just hit save. So you see that I see a no over there. Okay, that's understood. Now let me remove the die. The reason I put die is because if I simply just run this like so, the interface will interfere with the information that I want to see. So this time I'll browse for an image and then remove the die again so that it can halt once it gets there, and then hit save. So this time you see that there's an object here that it is showing, so which is cool. So now I can just check to see if it's a no or not. Then I will know that there's an image or not. So I will move this and just put an if statement and say if. This should be enough because a no will return false here. So I'll come here and say if. Oops, I don't know what's going on here. Let's do that. Okay. So we'll put an if statement here and say if this exists, then do the storage like this. And once you do that, we will need to add that to the array, right? So move this into there. For some reason, I am failing to drag and drop. My mouse is weird. Okay, no worries. Save that. So if this happens, then we have data image is going to path, and then we're going to add that to the list. Okay, so pretty good. That should work. So back here, let's try that. I'm going to go back. Let me browse and add a different product. Let's say this one. And let me save this time. Okay, so you see now the image has been changed successfully. If I go back to posts, so once I finish editing, I should have a button here that takes me back to posts. But for now, actually, let's just add that real quick. If we go to edit posts here, I can easily add a second button here. So duplicate this, and I want it to float to the other side, but the bootstrap in here is a bit old, so it won't work as well. So I'll just use a float to the right, like so. And I should make sure I change the type from submit to button. And instead of save, I'll just say back. Instead of primary, let's say success, so that it's a little bit different. And then of course, this one will need an A tag because it's simply a link to what we want. So paste that here, move it here. So the link here will be blade like that, and say URL, put our thing there. Let me see what link we have for posts. If I hover on this, it's admin/posts, easy peasy. So I'll say admin/posts, like so. Okay, good. So now you will notice that if I do refresh the page like this, it asks me to resend the data. This is not good. So let's see a way we can have that fixed. But before, let me just refresh here. And let's see if our button will work just fine. So if I click back, yes, I'm back here. So if I click edit, I'm back here. Okay, so we want to stop that by redirecting the page right here. So once we finish doing what we are doing here, this is yes, because if we get to this point, then the validation went well, so we can just redirect down here. So I'll say return redirect. So I want to redirect to the same page and posts like that. Okay, great. So let's see if that will work as planned. So let's put a 2 there just to change something and then refresh. Oh, sorry, my bad there. Oh, actually, that's true. If everything went well, we want to come back here, I guess. Or if you want to return to the same place, it's not a big deal. What we can do is, if I click on edit, there is a posts edit and then the ID. So that wouldn't be a problem. We can just say posts/edit and then slash, and then let's move out of there and put the ID on the very end there, like so. So if I now try this again, let me remove the 2 this time and hit save. Okay, so everything is back to normal. But now if I do refresh the page, I don't get that do you want to resend the data, because sometimes that can ruin what you had done. Okay, so we are doing very well here. Now the problem is we have a remaining image that wasn't deleted because of changing things. So let's monitor a few things here. What we need to do is retrieve the information from the very first item here. We retrieve the information. So we are already doing that, although we're doing it right here at the very end. So what I want to do is to delete this information from there. So if there's a file and then we added a new one here, this is the right place to delete the old one. So what I will do here is to do this. I'll paste that and just say old. I'll say old row. Okay, this is before we save. So the old row we'll get from there. That's okay. And then what we will do is, let's see here. Okay. What I want to do is edit the old file. So I'm saying if file exists. So if file exists, let's say uploads, because we are inside uploads slash, and then we add this old row. Wait a minute here. If I go to edit blade, I want to see how this one is presented. This is row, row, row. Okay, that's cool. And it's directly as I want to see how the information is set here, because I have completely forgotten. Okay, so it's a direct relation here, so good. So here I will say old row image, like so. If the file exists, this one right here, let's delete it. So to delete a file, we say unlink, like that. And then let's put exactly what's here. Copy and paste here. So the reason I'm doing this is because the old image is no longer required. And if you just keep leaving those images as they are, you end up with a lot of unused images, which can become a big problem. So here in the public folder, let's go to uploads and make sure that we will delete the file. Okay, this is the one right here. It starts with skg. So skg, this is the one. We need to delete this guy. So back here, let's try and do an edit by changing to a burger, and let's hit save. Okay, so now we have a burger here, and let's see if we actually did delete this one. So if I check in the folder, you see that the SK, which is this one, is no longer there. So if I close this and try to read all the others, you will notice that the burger, or the what was the other one? The crisps are no longer there. So that's good. That way you are not going to have problems with file sizes and all that. Okay, so this is good. So far so good. What we need now is to be able to square these images out. But before that, let's do the delete, which will be quite easy to do.